tell you when the live goes live. And we're back. We're back. Kind of crazy. Let's see. They've changed the interface. Have they now? Let's see. Hi, everybody. So for the past like 2 or 3 times that we've done these things, I've had impeccable timing where I'm literally texting Sean as it's going, like, hey, sorry, Sean. I literally was like finishing like right at 11:05. I'm like, oh, okay, let's see where I am within the movie, and it's like the wrap up point where they're just like, and the movie's ending and everything's happy, and here's a little bit of a musical interlude as things leave. So, how you been?
Pretty good, brother. Life's not too terrible. Life's pretty good.
Yeah.
I just got back from working Wild 'N Out, my first season with them. So, dude, hence I'm rocking this. Let me see if I can get this squared the way I want. What's up?
I look like I thought you were wearing like a Thriller jacket for a second.
Wow. A what?
It looked like the Thriller jacket for a second, but you're repping.
What up, Anna?
Good to see some familiar names appearing in that log. Yeah, it's been 3 weeks, a month. It's been a while.
It's been a while for sure.
I am juggling 2 jobs. Thankfully, one of the jobs is letting me only come in 1 day a week, so that's good. Getting used to crowds again. Frying pan into the fire kind of deal, but fully vaccinated and believing in science over here, so I think I'm good for now. Oh yeah,
well, you look like Bill Nye the Science Guy enough, dude.
I know. I got good sleep, but to thrill you with funny medical issues. Every once in a while, I get this thing. It's been happening for probably about 3 years. Every once in a while, where I got plenty of sleep, I feel fine, I feel great, I ate everything, and then I get it where I get just like about where my hand is in my vision, it's just blurry.
Oh, really?
And people have said like it sounds like a migraine symptom, and I'm like, I guess I'm not. It doesn't hurt. I'm not like don't have any like pains in my temples or anything. I feel fine. And I thought before it was like a stress thing, but I'm fine right now. So maybe I'm just one of those people who like.
Oh,
just
man.
One of those like.
In 30 minutes or less, Dylan. Otherwise, it's free.
See, this hand's steady as a rock, but this is my shooting hand.
Migraine aura.
Yeah. I'll look into it some more because like I need to figure out. Like I will say though, the past 3 days I've been staring at computer screens, but I've been wearing my computing glasses, my blue blockers and stuff. So like.
Yeah.
I don't know if technology is finally being like, Marco, you were raised by video games and television, and now we've come to collect.
Makes sense.
I
wonder what was going to happen to all of us.
Yeah. So, let's see. Do we deliver? I mean, we always deliver.
You know what I mean?
We deliver quality.
I mean, the thing is we deliver, and you don't even realize it's delivered.
We're just like
we're straight up
ninjas and
short
stuff. Quick update on the truck. I haven't properly updated the GoFundMe yet, but we're still getting donations here and there. The truck is, we're okay for now. We're skating by, trying to figure out like a good return event, and too, like my schedule was kind of funny for a while where I was only getting like middle of the week off. So like trying to get people to be like, hey, come to this event Tuesday at 5, and it's like so aiming for that Friday, Saturday, and stuff. Been keeping an eye. I
just saw Star Cars somewhere actually recently, man. I was thinking about you.
Yeah, they're still doing events here and there, and we've got I think we're lined up for Long Beach Comic Expo or Comic Con. They're both held at the Long Beach Convention Center, and I always forget which one comes first. But September, I think, is the next Star Car event we're doing. But yeah, we'll figure more on that out. But yeah, today we are talking about Brave.
Dude, mad underrated in the
I think
in the realm of Pixar movies.
Yeah, I think like it definitely. I definitely talked over you, Sean. I'm sorry. I'm doing the full Goofy Gophers Looney Tunes thing. No, after you. No, I insist after you. So sorry about that.
No, man, it's just man underrated, and I think a lot of it has to do with there was a lot of controversy when it was coming out, and it doesn't really follow the. I don't. Pixar wasn't going in this direction at all, and so
Yeah,
it's
it
you know what I mean. Like you got the How to Train Your Dragon. Let me see when that came out. Was that way before or after? Do
that
you
came
know?
up like I think. Let's see. It I
2010.
yeah. So this was 2012. So 2010. Yeah, 2010 was when DreamWorks came out with that. So like the whole
And
like
and that was
Viking-esque.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Like, last time we had a real go at between Pixar and DreamWorks was the Ants and Bugs Life thing, where like they were really going at the same scheme, same themes and
yeah.
everything. And like I really gotta say, How to Train a Dragon is that series is one of my favorite non-Pixar 3D films for
Oh yeah.
sure. They have
Oh yeah.
color palettes that are just whimsical, and the way that they do Scotland is quite beautiful. And I
That
gotta
whole
say, Pixar's version of Scotland is next level.
yeah.
Oh my God. I
There I
digress to you.
yeah, I'm getting my rhythm back. I'm so off. I'm rusty. I'm rusty. Put me in, coach. I think time has been kind. I think like I don't know if it's just 10 years looking back, like even the way that our reaction to Cars too. It's like I'm watching this and I'm like I also watched it in headphones. I've been watching movies in headphones a lot more now, and I don't know if it's just because like my Vizio soundbar can't handle the subtleties, but there are a lot of things I didn't notice on this viewing and I never noticed before. The gags are really funny, and like I think any issue, as if like I'm treating this like a critic. Any issue I have with the film is there's real just like subtle things that
Hmm.
aren't like they're not deal breakers.
Hmm.
Um, and like yeah, just the that was when they were going real crazy with like the amount of like environments they could push. I remember at the time
Well,
I think at Renderman at SIGGRAPH they really talked about how like just that opening shot, the amount of leaves they simulated
yeah, and
was
also just like the way that they there's so much dark in this film.
yeah.
So like if you don't have a good quality television that can do
Hmm.
true blacks and stuff and
Yeah.
differentiate the grays, it's a really hard movie to watch because there's a lot of stuff that happens in like almost pitch black environments.
Candlelight only lighting and
And
stuff,
there's
and it's
so much you can miss in
hmm
there's so much beautiful rendering. And yeah, I read that I guess it was initially supposed to be shot mostly in the snow. I guess that's
hmm.
what most of the concept art was.
I think like the first teaser, there's a shot where it's like in a snowstorm. And I
Hmm.
think what's really interesting, you can't talk about this movie without talking about its rocky road to production and
Half
how
colorblind, is he half black?
and like and just like how um Brenda Chapman, directed Prince of Egypt. She directed a lot of amazing films, and she was the first, female director for, to do a feature at Pixar, and then halfway through got kind of kicked to the back. Like, I'm dancing around the full details of it because I am not in the industry, and even what I can find online is like very much so like dancing around what actually happened. But what we know is that there were creative differences between her and John Lasseter, and which eventually led to um, her getting demoted. And what's crazy
You're
though
doing a
is that
great job, Marco. I just gotta say, because all
yeah,
I
I'm
got in
like
my head is "Don't get fired." We don't even have jobs for Canadians.
yeah, I
Just
know, and
don't
it's
get
like
fired.
and then too, it's like with the stuff that came out about Lassiter after, it's like I cannot imagine how contentious those discussions must have been, and how incredibly like Brenda Chapman's a champ, and
I agree.
like this there's a part in the article where they talk about how like she said that the movie winning an Oscar was vindication, and like wholeheartedly deserved it. Like the film itself I think is really interesting. It got really bagged on because of a lot of like kind of non-issues, and I think like watching it now it's like
What do you
it's
mean?
good.
Like,
Well, like I think a lot of people were like it's zanier than your average Pixar fare, but at the same time not. Like there's a lot of slapstick. You can tell that Mark Andrews definitely kind of tossed in a lot of like let's plus this, let's show a butt, let's do it. But then like there's I think it's just there's an imbalance to it at certain points, but it's not like it doesn't
I
detract. It's
think
funny.
one of the hardest things that it went at was it's one of the first times where Pixar's really going out of the fairy tale realm.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And like that's always been something Disney did very
Yeah,
well, but not necessarily something that Pixar did really well.
yeah,
It's never even gone for it, you know? It's something
hmm,
that seems like they didn't want to try to take. Like they've stayed away from all the grim fairy tales and all that stuff. And this was its own, it was Pixar being Pixar. They found their own way to tell their own story,
yeah,
original story that, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't, I don't know what it's, I'm sure it's based on a lot of stuff as Pixar still pulls from every other thing, but like, you know, just in a much more original fashion. And like the way that they captured. I'm not Scottish, so, but as somebody who's not Scottish and watches this, I feel like I was given a piece of culture. It was like when I watched Coco as somebody who's Afro Latin, like
hmm,
that movie hits in
yeah,
English and in Spanish. Like that movie hits. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy that movie's out, and so like because it's just a brightness to my culture. I love it.
yeah, yeah.
So this, I feel like there's got to be so many redheads out in the world that are just, I mean, like for real though, that are just,
Logan,
yeah,
do
right.
you like this movie?
I'm sure
Yes.
he does
Great.
though. The Scottish guy, get a load of this. Yeah.
So, yeah, I watched it when rewatching it. I was watching it more from like I'm gonna judge this from like a your average fairy tale movie fare and
Yeah.
like more from that. I wasn't going in expecting like Pixar
You
fare, I guess
got
is.
a friend in me.
And
It's
so
not.
what? Yeah, and once you kind of like flip that switch, it's great. It's really
Well,
different and neat, and it just
every time that we've watched a Pixar movie to this point, I feel like there's like they draw out they give you a thesis statement for the entire movie in the first minute and a half, 2 minutes of the movie, right? There's like an
yeah.
opening scene that kind of tells you the beginning, middle, and end of the movie, whether
Hmm.
you understand the foreshadowing yet or not. And this
Hmm.
one doesn't necessarily do that. This is the
Yeah,
first time where it's like, no, we're building a world, yes, but and these rules will be this way, but like they have a perfect relationship almost in the beginning. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And it deteriorates from that. It shows you
yeah.
what was. It doesn't show you what's going to be at all or how it's going to happen at all.
Hmm. And it just there's maybe it's just because I'm corny. I like corny things. There's just really good moments where it's like I always used to judge it too from like, and this is kind of putting it in an odd way where it's like, everybody has not everybody. Okay, hold on. Having a mother figure in your life, whether actual mother, chosen family, XYZ, is is one of those universal experiences or near universal experiences. And so I always used to judge the movie being like this is very much it's a mother-daughter film kind of deal, and so maybe there are subtleties that I'm not going to get out of it. Not saying that like they're trying to lose an audience, but then when you watch it, it's like it's telling this human experience in a way that anyone can get it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's good storytelling. It's universal storytelling, and there's just all these little moments where it's like, yeah, you've gone through that probably with somebody, and or any relationship kind of deal where it's like misunderstandings that lead to this like emotional brinkmanship where somebody
Mm-hmm.
has to eventually break that cycle. And I think they did a really good job with it. I think
Well, I
it's
mean, that's kind
watching
of
it
the
again.
opposite of like everything that Disney's done when it comes to fairy tales. Now, like they've gotten to Maleficent, and it's kind of going the other way.
Yeah.
But to that point, everything was very much so to the standard that was of the time. And
Hmm.
this is like challenge. I remember like in the first maybe 10 minutes of the problem being presented that she's going to be betrothed and everything.
Hmm.
I stopped and asked my girlfriend. I said, "Hey, is you're sitting here thinking like we asked like you just feel like as a Pixar film there's got to be a way where she could just say like just give me a year, just give me two
Yeah.
years something like that, you know." And like I'm trying to figure it out, but I was like, no, hold on, we're talking about the probably like 1200s in Scotland, like
Yeah.
never mind, this is the they got
Yeah.
to do. And then they still do it, and it was really
Hmm.
cool because it's like all right, and it was a believable manner in which they did it. Although I will say we'll get to it later, but I thought it was absolutely hilarious how astonishingly good at charades their mom is.
Yes, yes. The
So funny.
A plus.
It's
So she might. So Queen
she's doing
Eleanor.
like Naruto, like finger stuff, and then she's like, and then I'll tell you every word without stuttering the entire speech.
And you
Like,
go down to the street, and little Jimmy is stuck in
right,
a well.
study 4, left 7.
Checkmate. Yeah. So like Queen Eleanor may be in our power tier just on charade skills alone.
Mm.
But
I
we'll
will,
get to
if you want to get to there, we can. Because
that.
I'll just
I
say,
think we can do our little like plot cover
okay,
deal.
let's start. Well, let's start the movie off. So like, um, our first like real issue is that we have, is it Murdu,
Morju, the demon
Mordu?
bear of yeah.
Yes, who is really is a scary bear. Like, he's
Yeah.
quite terrifying.
There's a lot of like scary imagery in this movie. And like
Oh yeah,
I'm picturing like a 6-year-old kid watching this, and it's like big scary demon bear is pretty
especially
terrifying.
so
And
he's got arrows and stuff just hanging out of him.
yeah,
He takes
it's
away Papa Bear's leg.
hmm
It's
and
cool too because the sprites do. I can't. For a minute there, I felt like the sprites were Murdu, and then I
mhm,
realized they're not.
yeah,
They're still just these spirits of the forest.
they're but I think it's interesting too where it's like you can tell that they're not just leading Merida on her little journey. Like for Mordu to come back and find them was looked like he
Hmm.
was following them. And
Exactly.
so they're kind of sitting there going, ah, there's trouble. Let's fix this.
Do you think it's trouble or do you think it's fate-related issues?
I think the wisps are definitely like guardians in that sense, and they
Hmm.
try to place you on the right track. And if it's like she went to the witch, it led her
Gotcha.
to the witch, and obviously she didn't make
Who,
like the.
especially after you watch the short, you realize the witch is not evil.
Hmm. Right.
No, that's something to note for later.
Hmm. I got you.
So Mordu comes and attacks and everything. We lose Papa Bear's leg,
Hmm.
and I don't know. Do you think that was the beginning of Mom's complex, or do you think that you know what I'm saying? Like, because you kind of
Yeah,
think like right after that, the next scene you see everything's boop on its head.
yeah, everything's in the castle. There's a lot more. Yeah, I mean, you can tell from that opening scene that she let her hair down. She was much more.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess it's a protective parent thing. I think if your kid is, I think it would be safe to say that any parent, if their child was attacked by a demon bear
Hmm.
at a birthday picnic, would be a little overprotective. Would want to do a little bit of Marlin. Don't go out there. I mean, if I
Which
was that
goes
for my.
into why she wants her to be married, because she wants it done as soon as possible. Because honestly, life is so much more fleeting at this time.
Mhm.
She could eat a bad piece of something in
Yeah,
dysentery, straight
exactly.
up,
Hmm.
and then all of a sudden you
Thinking
miss
about
your window.
Scottish life insurance, those life insurance policies. You can't. You got to collect on that.
I wish I could do a Scottish accent, man.
I
I'm
wish
sitting
I
here
could do a
trying.
Scottish
It's not
accent.
okay,
Well, we're
guys.
gonna get some.
Okay,
We're
wow.
gonna
If
get
you
some.
heard him just do a Scottish accent and you thought it was decent, give it a thumbs up in the comments. Are you
We're
kidding me?
gonna get some like actual Scottish person coming in being like, I am not a fan of this
Like if you're
Scottish
getting worried
charlatan.
about it, you started in Scottish and we're like, no, I'm not gonna. I'm
I'm not
not.
gonna do this.
Oh man.
I
Um,
with the movie, what I thought was really neat though is like they introduce just this real neat little world, Castle Dunbrook, and just like the whole dynamic of it is very funny. And like you can see, I think it is funny too that when they reveal that Eleanor and Fergus were betrothed, and she's like, I wasn't too sure about it. He's like, wait, what? You weren't? Like it's him kind of like waking up to that, like, oh, um, and
that's
just
hilarious.
yeah, and just like the brothers who I don't think at any point are ever identified individually, like where you're like, oh yes, Hubert has this face and Hamish has this, or maybe they do, maybe they do. I'll look it up.
Hmm.
But fun fact I do want to drop about the movie that I think is interesting, and I'm still trying to cross-reference some things on it, is Disney created a tartan specifically for the film.
Yes, they did.
And I think that's interesting where I've read um, two different conflicting stories, or one might support the other. I have heard that you cannot purchase it as a kilt because it's copyrighted by Disney, of course. But I've also read that it was specifically designed so it could not be made by traditional tartan manufacturing. Like it's physically impossible to do it in the traditional way. You'd have to do it as a print. You couldn't actually weave that. So
Huh.
I thought that was interesting. This also one of the questions we did get in the questionnaire. This kicked off a mild tartan interest in me, and is why I have a kilt. That I would tell you
Kilts
about
are
that.
fun, yo.
Kilts are, and I always told myself the reason I bought it because one, I had a jar of change, and I was like, I need to buy something with this, just burning a hole in your pocket. I'm like, okay, well, if I can pour this into the machine and it gives me the amount of money that I would need for a kilt, I'll do it. And it was like $5 shy, and I did it. And I told myself that any time that I was invited to an event that said semi-formal, and this is me when I was being like a dandy, being a fashion snob,
A
where I was like,
dandy. I love that.
where if anybody sent a thing, because I remember reading an article saying the concept of semi-formal attire doesn't exist. It's just a thing to say where it's like you can come formal, you can come casual, it doesn't matter. And so I was like, well, if anybody can't decide if it's a formal event or not, I'm going to show up in a kilt. It was, and so Christiana, crew member Christiana, she did her and Chris got married, and I dressed in a kilt.
That's what's
And
up.
I documented the wedding in video form, so everyone was like, "Who's this crazy videographer who's wearing a kilt in the
First
middle of
of
the high
all,
desert?"
it's airy. Okay.
It's not. It's
I know it's
yes.
way nice.
It
Yeah. Oh,
I
I
was
know.
amazed by it. Hot weather. I see
I
why
spent like
people.
3 days in Vegas in one, bro.
We need to do that. We
It
need
was
to do.
great. I'm all sitting like, why? I got like my man spread going on my slot machine, just killing it in the AC.
And what I think was really funny though, so I feel like the question will arise because it always does with kilts. I was not going full authentic Scottish. I
Hmm.
decided to walk a line because a wayward breeze may have had other thoughts, and I didn't want to scar people during a wedding. So I did wear plaid boxers, which I think kind of bring it full circle, at least with the
Hmm.
platinum. Maybe one day, maybe if we end up going to Vegas on like a triple digit day, who knows? But, not, yeah, oh man, really, Sean, really, tell, we are keeping this podcast PG.
All right.
Pretty,
Yeah,
so we have
man.
Sean and
So
Marco in
kilts
the
are dope.
morning. We're going to be doing
And
Sean and
then we got
Marco after dark.
After Dark. Oh, we're same page there, dude. Same page. Oh man.
That'll be our Patreon.
I really, really enjoyed your Patreon. God damn it, bro. I'm over here trying to pivot out. I really enjoyed like you got like How to Train Your Dragon's idea of a father, a king in Scotland. I really enjoyed Pixar's version of that here. Her father, Fergus, right?
Hmm.
He was
King Fergus.
he was a really just well developed character, I felt like his personality traits. I liked how weathered he looked. He looked like
Hmm.
he really seemed battle. Um, and something that like Pixar does really well is they're able to create this beautiful, incredible, realistic imagery,
Hmm.
and then set forth these characters that are very dramatic in so many different ways. And he
Hmm.
just fits that so well for
Yeah.
a Pixar character in such an out of realm Pixar film. And it's so like just it lets me breathe because like you got like everybody else kind of looks like a Mister like everybody else looks like an Incredible, right, in that
Hmm.
universe except for him.
Hmm. And he's funny because he's like a big square of a person,
Hmm.
but there's this like I don't want to say sensitivity because part of his character is he's incredibly blunt, but I think there's this like soft side to him, and you can tell like he cares for his family, and like I think it's funny. I always like I completely forgot about the part where he does his impression of Merida and the I don't
Oh,
want to get
yeah.
married in that. And there's this little subtle thing I always love at the end of it where he like finishes it and he's like, okay, I'm done. And then you can see that he looks to Eleanor for like approval. He's like, I did a good job with that, right? Like it's real
Hmm.
meek. It's really funny. It's a cute little character moment for him. And
I'm over here just looking at pictures of him.
yeah, he's a good, well designed character.
He is a really well designed
Can
character.
we talk about Merida's hair physics and just the whole science with that and just like
Well, did you look into it all?
I didn't look into it at all. Sean, do you
They
have?
created a new technology for her hair. I think I have it up here. Let me see.
I feel
Uh,
like there's like a whole like list of numbers because it's like it's on like the level of like Sully fur simulation where like the amount of work that they put into that program, right? Like
I'm
to.
quoting an article from Mental Floss here.
Hmm.
It says, such realistically curly hair was the result of breakthrough technology. Ariel from The Little Mermaid in 1989 was meant to have curly hair, but the technology wasn't good enough for what the animators had in mind.
Hmm.
Even 12 years later, Boo from Monsters, Inc. was also supposed to have curly hair, but ultimately came back with pigtails because technically we just weren't there yet, said Chapman.
Hmm.
A simulator named Taz, named after the Looney Tune character, was built specifically to give Meridia 1,500 wild curls that moved and bounced the way they do in the real world. According to Wired, Taz forms individual coils around computer-generated cylinders of varying lengths and diameters. The
Hmm.
resulting locks stretch out when Meridia runs but snap back into place if she stops. Each strand is also strung around through with a flexible core curve like string of a beaded necklace, or like a string of a beaded necklace that's lets the coils bounce and brush against one another without
Hmm.
pointing. Dude, it's just a trip. They literally created, like,
This.
Pixar is so forward,
Mhm.
and they always will be. That's like,
They're pushing the limits of it. I just think it's so fascinating that there is this is that intersection between art and technology that I think is so fascinating. Where it's like I know that like I was never good at math, and I feel like if I were to have learned that like maybe younger, that like like I know that everything is math is the thing that everyone says, but I think the application of that is always done in a weird way where it's like it has to be like tailored to the individual kid. Where it's like because if someone had come up to me and been like, oh hey Marco, like frame rates are you know 1 in 24, and the reason that this happened is because the this ratio and da 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 da, and like this is why a hair moves like this, and I'm like that would have fascinated me. So thinking about how like people are observing how the natural world works and
mm-hmm.
then going, we need to figure out how to simulate that using, zeros and ones and, and putting it into and having the computer do that. And I think what's really funny is like, even with the simulations and even with all that kind of stuff, with all that information, it's like there's still going to be issues with it. There's still the world doesn't always work by those rules in certain situations, or if it were to work like that, it would always move a certain way. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you see, I think this. I mean, I don't know if they. I need to call on the Pixar crew, the Pixar post our friends, where it's like, um, I remember this movie had the glitches, the rendering glitches, where like the hair would just be like straight out and it wouldn't be doing what it was supposed to be doing, or like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, or or sorry, it would like phase out of her head. It wouldn't react as hair. It wasn't. It's like,
That sucks.
but yeah, Merida as a character is just, I she got a lot of at least
Punk
maybe it's
rock princess, yo.
yeah, it's like I know that she got a lot of flack for being like, oh, she poisoned her mom, and it's like she didn't think she was going to do that. That's the story. That's where
Mm-hmm.
the that's the conflict. She didn't. This thing was unexpected. Yeah,
Yep.
that's how conflict works in a story in a film. Unexpected consequences. Um, and
So
she,
let's get to the unexpected consequences. You
yeah,
move forward where she's going to be betrothed, and she's kind of wowed finally at the fact that her mom has an ability to be a queen over all these people.
yeah,
And what's really cool is we get introduced to all these different characters of Scotland. Pixar does a phenomenal job of giving us three different just versions. I was like looking at it, the northern people kind of reminded me of like northern Irish folk who
hmm
are famous for fighting off the Spaniards in the
hmm
mountains up there. and that's hence why they came out looking Spanish because they ended up living up there with the Irish as well. You get dark-haired and blue-eyed Irish folk. And I
Oh.
figured that was kind of what they were trying to go for with that whole thing.
Hmm.
Um, anyways, that or also, like just like the fact that they have the kids speaking gibberish, but it's really a Scottish
It's
language
actual
called Gaelic.
dialect. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was freaking rad. Real boomhauer stuff, but like even cooler. And then and then the old guy is my favorite. He's just what's his
Dingwall.
name? I gotta look.
Dingwall. Lord Dingwall and his
Lord
son, Wee Dingwall.
Dingwall. Oh, there he is. That's my guy.
I,
He's oh man.
I sent you a screenshot and I completely forgot about the gag where
Yeah.
they're like fighting and then he goes, Wee Dingwall, and the kid just like it's like mad dogs. I'm just like, and it's so violent how he turns and switches because he's like and I just love it because like that rapport, you can tell he's done that before. Like that's what's so great about that comedy bit is it's like I've had to use my son as a weapon of sorts. That is his use. Just like, kill.
That was a great gag, the whole like having the big buff dude and then it ends up being the little kid who's possibly more lethal than the big buff dude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like
Um,
that one scene though, he's like, liar! Who said that? Who
he's like
said that?
looking. There's
Any
someone in
caps
the
won't say it to my face, will ya?
and I think it was funny though that what was it? Let's see, there's Macintosh MacGuffin. I thought MacGuffin was funny too, where it's just like he's standing there timidly holding this little, not little, he's holding a like a tree trunk and just like snaps it on cue. He's like waiting for his cue, and it's just it's the trash trucks are back. Um,
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry for the audio quality. We'll take a quick break here.
No, you're good. I can't hear anything.
Just
It's fine.
and I think it was cool though that also too there were like three distinct musical montages of sorts with the three songs and just they're all little character
Yes,
moments
and
and
it's the
like
way that Pixar that's very Pixar-esque, and
mhm,
it's they weren't sing-alongs.
yeah,
They were accompaniments to they were montages,
hmm,
you know.
and just like all the things Merida does where it's like hitting bullseyes while doing horse vaulting, climbing up to a waterfall, just like
So to my point earlier about how
hmm,
her mom is worried, because the whole Murdu thing, and then
hmm,
you don't want your kid to die before, especially because she's a princess, before she become queen of somewhere, or at least secure that. And so I said dysentery, right?
yes,
You remember how she drinks from the waterfall, the fire falls, right? She
yeah,
like tells her dad. Her dad goes, "Oh, I heard those haven't been drinking from since the elder kings of old." Probably because they're poisonous, bro. And she's gonna get dysentery and
yeah.
die. And that's why mom wants you to get married.
The old times were crazy where it was to prove your sorry, just imagining like an old Scottish king. Yes, to prove that I was worthy to to rule over you, I drank from his very poisonous water, you see. Gave me
That was great.
gave me Highland diarrhea, you see.
Highland diarrhea.
Highland diarrhea is what allowed me to rule over you. None of you pansies could have drank from such contaminated water. You see, we haven't invented
When you eat
pasteurization
a
yet.
whole pig and then you got a hole to dig.
It's an old Scottish proverb.
It's an old Scottish song we sing all the time.
When you're sliding into first and you feel a little burst. Because, Scottish people created baseball. Old. They knew about
When you're winning
dysentery.
your betrothed and you feel a little load.
When you're sitting on the throne and you've got to unload. Indoor plumbing, too, is a thing that we create.
Oh man! All right,
Who's liking?
diarrhea.
Who's liking
I
our?
think Scottish diarrhea jokes is the way to go. There's a lot of likes right now, and
There's
I'm
a lot.
getting those are my people.
Gentlemen,
Oh man!
to bed. For we rise at a little past dawn. Not at dawn, a little past it, bro. You name that movie. So I think what's really fun with this movie is there are these really nice character familial moments. You can tell like that the scene once when they now there's a leaf blower over here. Now that the scene that got me got me really good was when right before like the betrothal challenge and Merida's in the tight dress, the fitted dress, and there's this moment where Eleanor and Merida like share where they're looking at each other, and it's that moment of like they both have something to say. They
Mm-hmm.
both want to say it, and
They
they
both want
don't.
the other one to listen.
Yeah, and it's just this like it's done really well.
Are you
I think
talking
that
about you're talking about the scene where it's going back and forth to them in different rooms
no,
and she's
no, it's
talking to her horse? Or are you talking about the scene when they're both actually talking to each other after that and they have their speeches and they both give their speeches and neither one hears a word?
it's before that. It's right. It's like there's a moment where they look at each other, and it's like you can tell. It's like that "I'm proud of you" moment, but I'm not going to say I'm proud of you, and like but I have something to say, and it's not. And then like they just go on to the next scene.
Are
But
you
the
talking
two
about when
scenes,
she says she looks at her and she has the tight dress on?
yeah,
And that's when she goes, "Don't forget to smile."
yes, yeah, yeah, exactly.
It was a great
And the
scene.
other
It
moments
was.
that the other
That
moments
was
you
a
mentioned
real
too.
scene because we've all felt that with loved ones. Where
Mhm.
like you're like, it's not time yet. I can't say it.
Yeah,
And it's like, if it was time, that was it.
mhm.
That was your
It was
moment.
that was the moment.
That was kind of it.
Looking back, he knew it was the moment. The
Yep.
other scenes that you mentioned though are two other key great scenes. The
Hmm.
cutback between where they're each saying stuff to themselves or
Yep.
to each other,
No,
and
she's saying something to Fergus,
hmm
Mama Eleanor, Queen Eleanor, Mama Bear. We'll call her Mama
hmm
Bear from now on, which I think is what they wanted us to do anyways with
oh
it.
yeah,
You know. So Mama Bear is emoting to Fergus while Merida is emoting to her
Angus, her
horse.
horse. Mhm.
What's her horse's name? Or
Angus.
Angus. To Angus. And which also, real quick, touch on Angus. I love how beefy Angus is of a horse, and it feels real still. It's like just on that,
Yeah,
but it's also like her father is as well. So it's like it still follows the
you know
realm.
that
I
horse
love
has
that.
been hasn't skipped leg day.
And the hair on
No
the
horse of
horse,
mine.
the hair on the horse is
Yeah.
wonderful. Someone mentioned it earlier, bringing up the uncanny valley. The hair definitely does start to bring up the uncanny valley aspects of do you like or not like this movie, for sure. And I gotta say, I think especially because technology has moved on even from this, that it's a much easier watch. It doesn't feel like it really hits that for me at all anymore, to be honest. It's really cool looking, but it doesn't hit like that whole like makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Um, so
It's not the
anyways,
Polar Express.
no, Polar Express had some stuff. If they didn't move like rubber people, I would be more mad. But yeah, so
Tom
the
Hanks.
scene they're going back and forth, that was wonderful. Like
Mhm.
just wonderfully shot. And then going into the how we all do that. You have the talk with your friend, your mom, your brother, or you're in the shower with yourself, you drive home, whatever it might be,
Mhm.
and you're getting yourself ready to have that talk with whoever person preparing for. And then you get
Mhm.
there and they both have the prepared speech and not either one of them listened to a word the other one
Mhm.
said. And they ended up even more upset than they were to begin with.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we listen with the intention to respond or to be heard.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think too, like I know a lot of people were like, I don't know, I just feel like a lot of the feedback that I remember hearing just from like from people around who, you know, everyone's a film critic, and a lot of people were like, oh, like Merida's a brat, and it's like that's the point. She was a brat. Like there has to be conflict. Like it's like even if it's conflict has to be uncomfortable, otherwise it doesn't feel earned.
Mm-hmm.
So like you know when she's saying stuff like yes, she's being unreasonable in that moment. They're both being unreasonable in that moment, and they you know even Eleanor realizes she's being unreasonable after she throws her bow and Merida's bow into the fire like
Oh
that,
my God.
and like that's such a devastating moment because you're just like oh I didn't we're doing this now, and then she
I feel
immediately
like we've
regrets
all
it.
been hurt by our parents before. We've all hurt our parents. And I was sitting there watching it and I just was like, man, like the difference is that mom has the means to fix any most problems that they have,
Yeah.
whereas children don't understand how to fix most problems that they have. And
Mm-hmm.
so by doing that to her bow, like that's a much more devastating, even though in the moment it doesn't feel like it. God, hurt people hurt people. There it was. You saw it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was it in Pixar.
Uh,
That
so
scene where when she hits the bullseye, and right after she hits it, she's looking at her mom. God,
that little
they
stare
got
down.
energy so good in this. The energies were just,
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. And like
Um,
I felt so anxious and out of sorts when she said archery, and then when her mom's like, not one more, don't you pull one more bow, whatever. I just
mhm.
felt so like I was in Merida's shoes. Like they did a good job, and like I just felt like so like
You know
my
that
skin was
feeling of like,
crawling, and I was like,
yeah,
don't, oh God, I
don't
know I'm
do
in
it.
trouble
I'm gonna
now.
do it.
Yeah, I just wanted to get up and walk out of the room and be like, we all know what's gonna happen. I'm not supposed to
Yeah.
be here for this. Sorry, Merida.
Hmm.
It's been nice knowing you.
Yeah. Um, one really subtle thing that I thought was kind of funny, and I don't know if there was a specific purpose, but at the same time, like, think not everything in a film has to have a specific purpose. While it was a decision that was made by the filmmakers, long disclaimer for just something silly. I think it's just because I'm so I just sometimes I get embarrassed when I read like really deep dives into films where they're like the reason this happened, and it's like that's a stretch. So like I thought this was interesting that like in historically right-handers have been incredibly prominent in the world even today, and I thought it was a really interesting thing that they made young Macintosh left-handed. I thought that was real, in a time when they would be like, we're chopping off his arm because he's using the devil's hand. Like, I
Hmm.
think that having Macintosh be left-handed when he fired an arrow was interesting. It's also because I'm left-handed and I'm aware of that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah,
like, oh, look, a
he
cartoon
kind of looks
character.
like you too. Are you a young Macintosh? Is that you?
My base, when I do my bad Scottish impression, my base is usually Craig Ferguson because then you can just like make like weird noises, and then as long as you hit that like grit that that uh, Craig Ferguson hits, you could just be like reading the phone book and be like, Johnson Plumbing and Nation. It's like, yeah, that's a Craig Ferguson impression. There's a part where Macintosh says "what," and you can tell Craig Ferguson had like a squeak in his voice that he had to do like 90 times. What? And it's like it's when they're arguing in the hall one of the three times that they're doing that, and he like reacts and it's like this real squeaky, and I'm like, I wonder how many times they did that until they're like, that's the right throat squeak.
He probably does a bunch of what kind of stuff, like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Reactionary stuff.
There is a commercial that I distinctly remember um, from like the beginning of the millennium, the dawn of the new millennium, where I think it was Craig
In the
Ferguson.
year 2000, in the year 2000.
The reason I'm not holding my hand stable is because I'm holding that dancing baby that came out in 1999. Oh my God, Jesus, such jagged pixels. It's cutting my get out of here. Um,
Hold on, hold
there,
on. I gotta feed my Tamagotchi. Go
oop,
ahead,
oop,
Marco.
oop. So I didn't have a Tamagotchi. I had a nano pet. I had a nano cat.
I had both.
See, like, and
One was
like,
small, one was big.
yeah, and like the
One was
nano, I would.
square, and one was a egg.
Hmm. Yeah, my nano, or like you remember Hey You Pikachu, or the little,
I didn't
you know
get
how
that, but I
brilliant that
had
was, dude. They
one.
were doing like step tracking in the '90s with that, and it was like you get more power, it levels up your Pikachu, and then you would just sit there and definitely did the.
I'm so
Don't
jealous.
mention it.
I didn't have that one.
Um,
I had like all kinds of toys. I'm so jealous, man. Studs, man. All I had was Tamagotchi and Neopet.
there. See, I always wanted a Furby, and I'm very glad that I didn't get a Furby.
Yo, I'm gonna send it to you later. But there's this artist who makes a bunch of different renditions of Furby.
Hmm.
There's Skin Bee, Baked Bean Bee,
Oh yes, yes,
Cheeseburger Bee,
yeah.
Nipple Bee. There's so many. There's Pizza Bee.
Hmm.
There's a very large. I highly recommend. My cousin has, I believe, a Skin Bee. It's disgusting. Mac and Cheese Bee. It's good.
Hold on.
So, I want to get there soon, man. I'm itching for it, to be honest. The power scaling.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do this. So Merida runs off into the woods, led by the will-o-wisps to specifically
Will-o-the-wisp. I like the way you
will-o-the-wisp,
spell it.
and I'm going to butcher this name, and I apologize to anyone
Who,
who.
the woodcarver?
Well, no, no, no. The circles of stones, the standing stones,
Oh, yeah.
the liths. They're also called a menhir. Menhir meaning stone that is long, a long stone. So goes to that little circle. Bless you. For
Excuse me.
those of you in surround sound, our podcast is now available in Dolby Atmos. I wish it was.
That'd be
So
hilarious.
goes there, is led to the woodcarver shop. And were there anything that you noticed in that woodcarver shop? Any like there were some little subtle powers that she did where
I
I was like,
wanted to go. I want to go back and just look at the stills from it to see all the different cool characters and stuff they have in there. Because I mean, it's not just us. The Pizza Planet truck is evidently there. For those of you who don't know, that is the moment that the Pizza Planet truck is introduced into this movie, which is quite cool in the way they go about that.
I want to tell a story before we get into the power scale, if that is okay.
Go for it.
If you go online
Mm-hmm.
and you search, I think it's like D23 2011, 2010 maybe, and it's like the Pixar 25th anniversary, 20th anniversary panel where it's a wild panel. Like it's all the Brain Trust and stuff before they were the Brain Trust, I think. And I think like it was before Brave came out, and I have asked my one Q&A question at a convention, and I can die happy. And I went up and asked them, I was like, are you guys concerned about having issues with getting the Pizza Planet truck in future movies? And they're like, no, we're not going to get bored with that. And then Mark Andrews threw down the gauntlet where he's like, it's in Brave, keep an eye out for it.
So cool.
And I remember like the internet exploded, at least like the Disney
I
internet.
remember when that happened with you.
Yeah.
That was nuts. That was nuts, dude. You asked the right question.
Sean, were you there, Sean? You were there, yeah?
I was not there. I was not, no.
Because I know it was.
You called me.
Sorry, yeah, I know Jake and Tyler and I think Will might have been there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was working.
We had a crew there. I just remember though, like I think it might have been Will or Jake. We were sitting there. We had the whole group there, and then I was like, they're like, we're opening the floor to questions. And I'm like, should I go? Should I go? And I think it was Jake and Will and Tyler in unison just went, go. And I just like stood up and ran, and I'm standing there at the line going, I don't have a question. I don't have a question. I'm sitting, and it's like Q&As, another story. Q&As at conventions are this weird thing for me. If I'm ever listening to a podcast that's recorded live and it opens the floor to Q&As, I give it like 2 questions, and if none of them are like that interesting, I turn it off. Mm-hmm. Because I think Q&As always open the floor to that like, I have a question, but it's not really a question. It's more of a story that is barely relevant to the topic at hand, and if you give me an opinion on it, it doesn't really add anything to the conversation.
There's the one guy who's like on the panel who doesn't have anything else going on, and he's like, "Go ahead."
Yeah, sure. I am paid by the hour. Please tell me. We have to fill 20 more minutes of content. And
so good.
I just feel bad whenever that happens, because it's just like you'll hear it in the air, and people are kind of like, "Yeah, great story," and there's nothing to add to it. Like they want a conversation versus a question and answer. And it always, it's that secondhand embarrassment, and you're just like, oh, and like, believe me, I get secondhand embarrassment watching myself ask that question. That's how bad my secondhand embarrassment is. I'm like, God, poor guy, that Marco.
Oh man. So we do see.
Yeah, I'll post that clip. Yeah, I'll post that clip and I'll edit it in. And now we're back. Woodcarver. She's got the broom going. She's got a talking crow.
The broom, is that reminiscent to Fantasia for everybody else?
Sleeping Beauty, Fantasia, magic brooms of sorts.
Just definitely felt like a nice little Easter egg.
Hold on, let's see.
He's looking it up, people.
No, I was looking. I've been informed by some friends that my son, Machiavelli the cat, is now a photo location at California Adventure.
That's good.
Uh,
You're climbing up the ladders, buddy.
you know, wood carver. So she has an amazing output for considering how complicated wood carving is. Um, I think her theme. I think she needs to expand on her theming, though. The bear theming is perhaps
Does she
troublesome.
have an amazing output, or has she just been doing that for a long time?
Well, I mean, maybe both. Maybe she's one of those people where she's like, I can do it quick if I'd like, or if I'm feeling,
I kind of feel as
methodical.
though she uses the wood carver thing as her front, you know what I'm
Oh,
saying, and
certainly, certainly. Yeah.
always kind of has. And so,
Oh,
like,
so she's, yeah.
she's just been accumulating and such. And finally, she said, you know what, I'm over the witch thing
Mhm.
altogether, right? And Merida pulled her back into the game.
Yeah. Yeah, because probably the last thing she did was Mordu, from what we can tell. And
I don't
then,
know if it was the last thing. I can't. I'm trying to. I was raking my brain before you said that, trying to think if
mhm.
that's what she said. Because I was trying to pay attention to that. I don't feel like that was the last thing she did. I feel
Yeah,
like that because she said there's too many what you call it, upset customers,
yeah,
and she refers to that as a positive spell.
yeah. So I'm curious as to how much chaos. She's like the Loki of this universe, the wood carver.
Well, yes and no, because even Loki is more villainous than she is.
Yeah,
I really don't think that that's one thing that I really got from her is that she's not villainous. She's not evil.
yeah,
You know what I mean? She definitely I guess I can see what you're saying. She's mischievous. She is,
yeah.
for sure. But she's not evil.
And in the end, everybody lives happily ever after. Mordu is crushed by a large stone. Spoiler alert. But
Well, okay, well,
he,
hold on. I feel like Mordu, for a minute, I was gonna put him on my power scale, right?
okay, yeah,
I was
yeah.
close to it because we know that once you become this bear from this
Hmm.
spell, you still have human sentience for a while, which has to give you some sort of leg up on being just a bear, having
Right.
that kind of knowledge as well. But then I thought, after watching him and I watched Mordu as well, the little short
Yeah,
they have,
he's
and like, yeah, he's basically just a high-powered bear. Like he's
yeah,
not
he's an OP. But
it's not like, it's like Elon Musk became a bear and he's like started putting together jetpacks and then fighting you with claws in the air.
no,
It's
that bear
just,
would just dig holes and
yeah, right?
tunnels.
A
I'm gonna make sorry. The Boring
hyper,
Company. I have a vendetta with the Boring
I'm
Company,
gonna
I
make
think.
a hibernation loop.
This bear gets
Oh
into a
man,
pod and
it's so
it
good.
doesn't go very fast. It takes you approximately 3 months to go around it, but by the time you're out of it, you're out of here. Merch, merch, merch. Somebody, we need to do Elon Musk as a bear with his
Indeed, as a
hibernation loop.
bear.
As a bear, Scottish Elon Musk.
So Woodcarver, back to her real quick for the power scaling of things. One, she's got an incredible amount of knowledge. She's able to create these potions with things seemingly lying around the house, and
Hmm.
she's making them, which kind of tells you at first you're thinking she's just making something like you don't. I almost don't believe that she's that good. You know what I'm saying? When she's
Hmm.
pulling stuff like that, but when her spell comes out perfect and it's a perfect piece of puff pastry, even though it
Yeah,
tastes like garbage, it
yeah.
does exactly what she thinks what she wants it to do and everything,
Hmm.
it just tells you, okay, her grasp and all this stuff is ridiculous. The
Hmm.
amount of resources she has is up the wazoo in the sense that she can literally find the things for her spells under the couch. So like she can, but then I wonder more also about how much do magic does she have and how much spell use does she have? You know what I'm saying? And where does that kind of go? Because I feel like she can make objects. There's some objects that could come back and end her, like the bear. She had the ability to just make it stop because she could make the broom stop, but then the broom came back on its own.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. I think she's one of those ones. Like I think it's. I think the witch. Her motivation is interesting. I think she's one of those people where it's like, I'm gonna give you what you ask for, and if you figure it out, that's Like she's like
Hmm.
it's yeah, like you said, it's mischievous. It's not there's no it's not like serves you right for asking me for this. It's very much like, well, this is what you asked for. Here you go. I don't know if that's what you need, but I'm just doing my job, you know.
Yep.
So, but then sorry, jumping to the comments real quick. Yes, she does carve a couple things in 5 seconds. And what I will say, I know she does the one on like the she does the one on the lathe really quickly, but the one that impresses me is the single axe stroke one, where she cuts
Yeah,
a
dude.
log in half and there's an entire,
Thing
you know,
inside. That was crazy.
hold on. Yeah, so I think what's most impressive, besides her potions, is the when she leaves the shop and then immediately turns around and goes back in, and there's no flourish what she snaps her fingers and the
Hmm.
shop is changed. And I think that kind of like, quantum physics or, mind bending kind of stuff is that's the furthest reaches of her power in the sense of like manipulation. And I think that's interesting because usually there'd be someone be like higatus figatus and then it turns into
Hmm.
something and she's just like, no no no, this is part of my thing, come out here, okay, go back inside. Like she didn't have to do that, she probably could have done, you know.
Well, here's the other thing too: is there's so much inside of her wood carving shop and everything that harkens to other times that just tells me that she's not just living in this place. The
Yeah.
way that she can open the door and it changed completely. You look at the technology in Monsters Inc. They're able to open a door and
Hmm.
it be a completely different thing on the other side, close it, open it, and go into a kid's room.
Yeah, it's built upon similar principles.
Her character is deep in this whole thing. I want to challenge her her power just so we can really scale it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, okay.
So like that's why I'm saying okay. Does she? I, oh man, I'm rewatching the scenes now, and it seems more like when she brings things to life, she brings them to life. They have real
Hmm.
sentience.
Yeah, they have
So like
personalities, yeah.
they're on her side until they're not. Right? Like the
Oh yeah.
knives turn on her for
Yeah.
a second, and then like the broom and everything. I was saying like she puts it away. I don't think she really puts it away. I think when she snaps with her fingers, she's like, "Yo, come on, help me out." And the broom's like, "I
Hmm.
got you."
Hmm.
Right? But like, I don't know. I got a feeling she's a lot more powerful than I'm even giving her credit for.
This isn't even my final form.
Yeah,
I forgot about the knives turning. I thought that was a very good like
she does
little.
snap her fingers to make the house change.
Okay,
At least to
so
close the door.
there's a little
She
bit of a
snaps her
flourish.
fingers and the door
Mm,
closes. When she goes back, it's normal. It's the new house, her
to
witch house,
yourself.
and she's really able to just yeah. She just grabs stuff from everywhere.
Hmm. There and to support the theory, the Monsters Inc. theory, and I think it's probably been mentioned in the Pixar theory before. To support the theory that her technology may be utilized by Monsters Inc. That there's the um, Sully carving. It's way in the back.
And
There's
she's
like
got
a.
stuff from so many different times.
Hmm.
You know, she's connected to everything. She is. It's upsetting that she's this strong because, like, who's gonna take her out? Buzz?
I think spy technology Mater is probably our best bet. I think he is Earth's mightiest hero.
I keep thinking the same thing, but I gotta watch. She hasn't taken anyone's powers from them.
Yeah,
I
I
haven't
don't.
watched her take somebody and go, "Now you're not."
Yeah, and I
But
don't
I have
think.
no reason to think she can.
Well, then too, I thought what was really interesting is when they do the potion answer phone, essentially, and that goes wrong. All the potions get poured in, and it explodes in a big flash of white light. I think it's really interesting that it blows everything up except for our, and I know there's plot shielding, but at the same time, I'm
Yeah,
like,
but how powerful is she?
Yeah, I think like
I'm
she,
with you. I thought the same thing, bro. It's like, how can she blow up a house and not people?
I think if you are a wizard, warlock, witch,
Or an
woodcarver,
airy wizard.
yeah, you're an
You're an
airy
airy
wizard.
wizard.
You're an airy wizard. I'm just thinking of,
You want to go home real quick tangent onto that
yeah,
real fast? I got
okay.
a thing, something on TikTok about it. Maybe you sent it to me, maybe you didn't. I don't know. But is Hagrid the most powerful sorcerer of all time with unrealized power?
Oh yeah, I've read that theory where it was like he he's not supposed to have powers or something, or like all the things he uses it
So,
for,
like,
like,
he was banished from school, right,
hmm
at a young age. And the reason he was banished was because Voldemort got him expelled. Lied,
hmm
right? Did Voldemort realize, see, that this guy was going to be that good? They never gave Hagrid his wand back, right? The
yeah,
ministry. Even after it was found that he was innocent, they
hmm
still didn't give him back his wand. And he still is able to cast spells and give, I think, Harry like a tail in one of them or something like that,
he
which is
gave
like ninth degree dark magic or some crap like
yeah,
that. That
and he's
the
using
like
an umbrella.
Voldemort would have a hard time doing, and he does it with an umbrella.
Yeah,
And it's like, okay, and he's able to do this without a wand. He's half giant, half wizard.
yeah,
Is he like, if they would have gave him back his wand and taught him how to be a wizard?
yeah.
I'm gonna talk about power scaling. I feel like he's the hero that we would need to take out the woodcarver.
I'm not
Thank
even
you for
from this
coming to my TED
universe.
talk.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch the Harry Potter movies. Maybe we'll do that next. And then, um, oh man,
She's
I don't
got
know.
the reality stone, somebody said in the comments. Maybe she's not from
Yeah.
Earth. She's a manipulator, being that she can access different realities with a snap. She's got the reality stone.
So you're saying Thanos could? Oh, the tip of his umbrella is his damaged wand. Oh, okay, okay, good to know. I knew there was someone would come in with. Thank you, Carlos, for
Damaged,
the.
bruh.
He's doing that with a
He's using
damaged wand.
with the tip.
Of a damaged wand. That's like somebody's like that's like a John Wick thing where it's like, here, John Wick, all I have is this barrel and a bullet. Do what you can with it. Okay, Berserker. I'm gonna, I'm gonna use it as a blowgun. Utah, give me two.
Dude.
I need to use. Did I tell you I watched Point Break for the first time? Did I tell you that?
Yeah, you told
Okay.
me that on our road trip episode. I was very
Oh
upset.
yes, yes,
Very. You had my mom upset.
yes. Yeah. I'm sorry, Mary B. That hangs so heavy, man.
I can't believe that you hadn't watched Point Break, bruh.
I need to rewatch Speed though. I need to rewatch that one.
Speed's
We
good,
need to
but Point
jump this
Break is the
bus
one.
50
Point Break
feet.
and Con Air. Those two movies helped shape the man I am today.
Nice.
Oh
So,
man,
power ranking.
she's number
So,
one by far.
I think so because Mater does a lot of things unintentionally, and there are so many things that we can prove that the Witch Woodcarver does with such intention, where it's like that kind of precision can only be achieved by someone who is
Just
at the
imagine
top of their
this:
game. Yeah.
you shoot an arrow at the woodcarver. She goes
hmm
full Neo, and then says, "Pink, you're alive now." And the arrow goes, "Excuse me?" And you're like, "Yeah, you're alive. Go murk
Get
that
him.
man over there," and just follows you until
hmm
you die. Guided missile. That's the kind of power she's got.
Yeah.
And
If she
then
needs it.
she's got
Yeah.
manipulation powers.
hmm
She can just send a pie over your side of the line and turn everyone into bears.
Yeah.
I wonder what else she can turn them into.
Can do lots of things. I'm thinking about too how perhaps the firefalls are a byproduct of a bad spell. At least our version of the firefalls.
I don't know. I felt like it was pretty, like, we have the firefalls here in Yosemite,
Oh
right?
no, I'm just
And
saying the
so I felt like
concept
it was
of
kind of this. I felt it was the same concept. Like, there
I'm
wasn't
saying
much on fire there at all.
I'm saying the concept of our dysentery inducing contaminated water
Oh
being
yeah, yeah, yeah.
This
Yeah.
spell turns you into a bear. This spell gives you dysentery. They asked me to make a spring that would give them life, and they sure appreciated life after having dysentery. It's not what you asked for, but it's what I gave you.
It's what you get. The best part of waking up is Fire Falls Jungle, but
I will tell you, this is a very bad joke that's going to have a very fun build-up, but I think it's a very funny, subtle one. But I'll tell you, as a baseball coach, the best part of waking up is not having Folgers in your cup. I'll tell you that. Uh, this is the guy pouring hot coffee on. What is this? Says the best part of waking up having Folgers in your cup.
it feels great.
Something's burning. Quick,
Oh
sing the
man,
little drummer boy.
that's what you're.
Perfect. It's working.
So
Sorry.
okay, so she's number one. I don't feel like anybody else from this movie really makes top 10 even. Mr.
Yeah,
Incredible punches a bear to death to oblivion.
yeah. I do feel like Mom Bear in her Mama Bear mode times two could have a fighting chance against certain supers. But like she took some clocks. She took some roundhouses to the face. Some haymakers. Morty was
She's
throwing
definitely
haymakers.
smarter than Mordu,
Yeah.
but like
And she can be ruthless when pushed.
razor
Because
sharp claws,
yeah.
air strength.
Takes out a guy with a giant stone. Takes out a demon bear with a rock.
Yeah, I just don't see like the
Oh no,
Incredibles.
I'm
None of
not saying
them.
that. I'm not saying that she
They
would.
all take out the bear. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
Violet maybe gets beat up by a bear,
Jack
but
puts up a good
Dash,
fight against the little
no,
bears.
Jack just takes it to another realm and says goodbye.
Yeah.
It's
Boom.
so easy. You started to do the raccoon. You think
Yeah,
the
the little
bear's gonna
rat.
be a problem? Not
No, the
with them,
little
dude.
bear, the little brother bears.
They're fun. They low key could make their way into, but then they would lose their sentience. You know what I'm saying? By the time that like,
Yeah,
because
they'd
if you had
eventually. Yeah.
3 team boy bears though, that's
Hmm.
pretty solid.
I think too. What was really fun with
Merida's
them.
pretty gangster, I'll say.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
she
think
has
what was
enough
funny with.
strength to stand up to her father.
Hmm.
She's fought Mordu and lost, but still,
Hmm.
can bullseye anything.
Hmm.
So she's
I
definitely
think
tight.
I think one of the fun subtle details too with the brothers is I like that they have hidden passageways in the house and they know their way
Hmm.
around and they're hiding rocks and they're jumping through rafters and stuff. That was I think it was a really funny moment. Um,
Definitely.
trying to think of other things. Oh, sign language. Sign language
Oh yeah,
skills.
the bear,
Yeah,
man. That's
yeah.
nuts. She wasn't even doing nothing, dude. She was just putting up Naruto hand signals. Trying to clone
Merida's like
jutsus.
just sitting there, just like dun-dun-dun-dun. Run after fake bunt it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Good,
right?
good, good. 3 Cokes. Yep. Sell. Buy
What?
Bitcoin.
Break?
God,
Break tradition?
break.
Like, how did she say tradition? We got shot of Merida at that point.
We're probably doing Fiddler on the Roof or something. Just like break tradition. Oh, okay, yeah. Break matchmaker. Sunrise, sunset. No. There were a couple of parts. Yeah, there were words. I'm like, I don't know how she signed those, but at the same time, they were like, I'm like, oh, well, you know
Yeah.
the words. You know the words. That's a suspension of disbelief. Um, I thought it was funny too, where it's like, open the cellar for the king's private reserve, and he's like, get the little glasses, and I'm like, every glass is a little glass when you're Fergus. Like,
I thought that was hilarious too. These all trying to skimp everybody else. I can't drink all of my stuff.
not all of my stuff. Come on.
So good.
I'm the blurry vision is returning, so I'm trying to like not wrap it up, but I'm trying to think if there are any like pressing thoughts.
I
Oh,
really enjoyed her telling of the legends of their stories that
oh
aren't
yeah,
legends yet. That was
yeah.
really cool just to hear those accounts and everything.
Yeah.
Um, it was let's see,
One
go for it.
one thing that stuck out to me that on rewatch I'm like, it sticks out. It stuck out to me before. I remember going like, um, when Merida is bartering with the wood carver, and she goes, "I'll give you this," and she shows like her necklace. I had this feeling that the necklace was going to have some sort of more significance. And I don't, but at the same time, like I look at it now and I'm like, that's just me misinterpreting what was being shown because they're just showing like, look, it's pretty, look,
Mm-hmm.
it's full of jewels, and I'm like, oh, okay, like that's fine. But yeah, at first I was like, does she have to go get that back? Is that the thing? You
Mm-hmm.
know, was that a gift from her mother? Was it a
First watch, I thought that was gonna be part of the whole pride thing for sure.
yeah, or like I thought it was gonna be like this is yeah, like this is an heirloom and from your family and XYZ. But
Especially after seeing the one that came from, you know.
Mordu, yeah,
Hmm.
the crossed axes and stuff.
Did you watch? Have you seen the Mordu short before?
Yeah, yeah.
Quite good. Quite good.
hmm Did you watch the did you see the extra scene at the end
No,
of it?
no,
There
no.
is an extra scene after the credits where um, you see the Raven returning to Castle Dunbrock with a cart full of wood carvings and a bill of sale. We got a bill of sale right here. It's at the very end, and that's all. He wakes up the guard that had his mustache cut, I think is what it is. And
I'm watching it
it
now.
it's a funny
Oh,
little one.
yeah.
I'm just gonna
Oh,
quickly. So
come on, Bird Friend. I haven't got all day.
the
That's good.
next film coming up is Monsters University, which
Dude,
is a movie that to me feels newer than that. It's weird. I don't know why.
somebody kind of hated on this around me recently, and they're like, "Well, I mean, it's not Toy Story 2." And I was like, "I feel like Toy Story 2 is in a realm of its own. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's in the realm of there's like three good sequels in the world that are
yeah,
known as like possibly better than the first. Toy Story
yeah.
2, Aliens,
hmm
Rush Hour
Empire.
2, Empire
Yeah,
Strikes Back. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, it's
yeah,
like,
yeah. Cars 2.
ah, after rewatching it, I agree. I agree. First one's boring compared to Cars 2. I'm gonna tell you that right now. All
Doesn't
right,
have Michael Caine. Not a good
doesn't
movie.
have
Cars
Michael
1.
Caine.
Yeah.
Michael
No,
Caine.
Michael Caine
Michael
created.
Caine.
Created.
Michael Caine doesn't have Michael Caine. Not when I'm
Michael
Michael
Caine
Caine.
it increases the rating by many points.
By
Cars
many
3 not too,
points.
and it drops a little bit because there's no Michael Caine here.
Michael Caine is here.
All films. Here's my pitch. All films now. Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Just have him there, even in the back of the background, right there. Even if he walks by, like every film just needs Michael Caine walking by like Bigfoot. Yeah, it's me.
Michael Caine.
That's me, Michael
He has
Caine.
to say his
Welcome on.
name though. That's what I want.
Hello. He's like a
Michael Caine,
Pokemon. It's me.
yeah.
Michael Caine, Michael Caine, Michael Caine. All right, Michael Caine, that's enough.
Oh man, Monsters U. Yeah, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't wait to watch it again. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'm
I think I only
excited.
watched it once, to be honest.
Yeah, so with Brave, I realized I haven't watched this movie in years. Like, and it's not like I haven't watched it since it came out. Like, I just haven't watched it in like maybe 5 or 6 years. And I think final thesis is like I think it's a perfectly fine film. Like, it's good. It's
I
I
think
think
Pixar flexes heavily on their escapes, on like their
the
what's the
environments and the
yeah,
details. Yeah, yeah.
they flexed heavily in the lighting. The
hmm
lighting in this movie is immaculate. I talked about
Yeah.
how dark things were, but just the way they light up the
Golden
dark.
Hour. Yeah.
Yeah, man, they have that stuff down. Oh, God, it's so
I'm
beautiful.
just I'm
They
looking
just
at the
take everything
movies.
they've done in the last ones and keep adding to it over and over and
Yeah.
over again. So good.
I'm looking at the list of movies. We've got like I know we were kind of joking about like, oh, Cars 2 and Brave, and then like now we've got like Monsters U, Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur, Finding like we've got a good little run coming up. Like it's
Yeah,
it's
I'm
gonna be
excited for The Good Dinosaur, man.
yeah.
I feel like I was the only person who watched that movie, and I know I'm not the only person with issues with my father. So if you watch that movie, I'm just saying if you have issues with your father, you're going to connect with it. Go
Hmm.
ahead.
Exactly. But it's gonna, I'm excited to finish these up. So our schedule right now is kind of interesting. So I've been getting Fridays and Saturdays off. We're gonna start planning this, Sean, right now, so people can tune in on this. So you've concluded.
Well, now I will be
Well,
off until at least August 1st.
okay, that gives us a chance. So we have a chance. We have a chance of getting pretty far. Like I'm
Do
gonna
you want to do
try
them
to.
on the weekends? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm gonna see how my schedule shaped up because I was getting Fridays and Saturdays off, and then for some reason they're like, nope, Wednesday, Thursday, which worked out for me, but this week for multiple reasons.
Oh, man.
But I will let you know. I have Friday and Saturday off next week, so one of those days, whichever works best for you.
I'll be out of town this next week, but at the same time, it doesn't mean I can't shoot a podcast. So you let me
Where
know.
are you gonna be?
New Mexico.
Ah, I see. So we
Got a
can.
baby shower for a family member.
Ooh, nice. Congratulations. Go visit the Blue McDonald's if you can.
Blue McDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O.
Yeah. Um, I think I think that's a good spot to stop.
I
I'm gonna
think
try
so
something a
too.
little different this week with the editing. You're probably gonna hear it by now. I'm gonna try doing a mid episode break, which is why I kind of awkwardly paused at one point. We're gonna
Got
give
it.
that a try. Um, Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for continuing to tune in. Our shirts are provided by Chosen One, which is a great and fun pop culture themed uh, apparel shop. The Chosen One, spelled chosen, WAN.com. We're wearing the based on a true story shirts. They are incredibly comfortable, and a lot
Great
of the times
quality.
I sometimes have a lot of anxiety wearing a fitted shirt just because I am, as have been described as being undefined in physique, but this is this is a
But
good
you define fashion.
ding. Look at these. Look at these little pea shooters.
Oh,
Yeah,
Bugs
look at
Bunny
that.
would be proud.
Dun, 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 dun. Man, I could knock a tin can off of one of those. Not my tin can, not my precious cans. What are you doing?
Oh,
So
man. All right. So, yeah, you'll let me know about your schedule. Everybody else, it's been a pleasure talking to you, with you, around you, until one of my dearest and closest friends, Marco, here.
we'll
Thank
be
you.
back. We'll see you around.
Peace and love, everybody.
Mhm.